stronger. For the law, all of fine.
Hello, this is Bunton Cole with episode 2 of A Vision for Africa. In this episode, I'll give you the findings of the investigation into Africa's past. Last week, we started investigating the hypothesis which states that the oldest human population emerged in Africa, and that Africa is the home of the world's most ancient civilization, and thus the cradle of civilization. I'll now share with you the findings from the investigations of the hypothesis, which states that the oldest human population emerged in Africa, and that Africa is the home of the world's most ancient civilization. The findings are summarized as follows. No matter what we look like today, we all descended from the ancestors who evolved from the African continent, and that the oldest human population emerged from Africa. Africa is the home of the world's most ancient civilization. The root of every family tree in the world can be traced back to Africa. Humanity's story most likely began in Africa's Great Rift Valley, where the oldest human skull was found in Ethiopia's North Rift Valley in 1997. We'll look at the evidence now and the results. The skull named Idolto, meaning firstborn, is one of the oldest human remains found anywhere in the world. Idolto lived about 160,000 years ago and proved that Africa is the cradle of the world's most ancient civilization. Our DNA proved that every living person shared one DNA linking all humans, regardless of race, to one maternal ancestor, which was a female named Mitochondrial Eve, who lived in the Ethiopian Rift Valley around the time of the Idolto skull. The human race originally started spreading when small bands of people traveled around from place to place in search of food and for protection against wild animals, then gradually spreading wider, eventually forming into colonies and culture. This process continued and started populating different regions of the world some 8,000 years ago. They developed cultures through languages, communication, and practices which bound them into communities. In 1991, archaeologist Christopher Henshaw Wood discovered a cave in South Africa called Blunder's Cave that contains evidence of human art dating back 140,000 years of human habitation. Subsequent research and dating will change original perceptions about the cognitive behavior of our ancestors. They were engaged in producing art of painting, drawing, and producing tools for communication and working. Wadi Sura, the most famous oasis in the Sahara Desert, show evidence of life and human arts that existed 10,000 years ago when the Sahara was rich and green, teeming with life and activities. Climate change brought about the deforestation and transformation into the Sahara Desert as we know it today, that separates the northern communities from the rich Nubian communities. People were forced to adapt to these changes that brought about the emergence of great civilizations through the need to survive and prosper. For example, Egypt around the Nile and the Nubian communities south of the Sahara around the Nile in East Africa emerged. Specialisms like food producers, artisans, hunters also emerged. Communication and need for the sharing of information gave rise to writing, which became a form of communicating ideas, keeping records, dominating and controlling communities. A leader in the development of writing is the Scorpion King of Egypt. Architecture then emerged like the Great Pyramid by Khufu, King of Egypt. Huge labor force was needed for the pyramid project, and this demand was managed by seasonal changes along the Nile, which made labor available during non-agricultural periods. Between 1913 and 1916, archaeologists found the skeletons of one of the Nubian kings and his retainers. Kama developed into a powerful city in Kush to rival Egypt with very strong defense force of archers. Egypt was a world power but depended on Kush, south of the Sahara, for access to the wealth of the interior, which were gold, animals, and other natural resources. This wealth gave rise to rivalry and ultimately conflict, which resulted in the end of Kush. Nubia means Black Kingdom. Egypt enslaved Kush in pursuit of the usual desires of the stronger nation to dominate, exploit, and plunder the weaker nation. That is the order of the day for the strong to vanquish the weak. In other words, the weaker nations were exploited and plundered and then vanquished by the victor. Egypt also imposed their ancient religion on the Kushites. But the Kushites' religion did not die. Instead, it expands to incorporate the Egyptian god Amun. Centuries later, the Kushites went north and conquered Egypt after 1100 BC. Other civilizations emerged among the Nubian region in the south. New technology enabled the Kushites to use iron, which gave rise to the emergence of these civilizations in Central Africa. Iron became the new currency across the Central African region from Ethiopia to Mali and Nigeria. Iron products include arts like the Nook sculptures made from iron that were discovered in Nigeria. Iron gave rise to the emergence of the Swahili and Bantu kingdoms. Kush was rich with gold and iron working centers like that in Merowe. The iron technology attracted Rome, which was then a world power, southward across the Sahara into Kush. But a notable female warrior leader of Kush named Amin Uranus stood up against the Rome expansion southward to Kush. Amin Uranus, who was one-eyed, ensured the independence of Kush against Rome for 400 years. Before I summarize, I'll play you nostalgia from my collection while you digest the information I've just given to you. I hope you like it. Enjoy nostalgia.
Mama send me for go a straight and me from block. A dumbe kai ka fufu play e bus. Mama send me for go a straight and me from block. A dumbe kai ka fufu play e bus. Hey! Those are the games we used to play back home in Africa. We don't do them anymore. Our children have lost them. Here's another one. I'm coming home. Yes, so. Go tell mama say. Yes, so. That's super cool. Yes, so. They left me home. Yes, so. Kill a Jew. Yes, so. I kick Chakakam. Yes, so. I kick Chakakam. Yes, so. I kick Chakakam. Yes, so. I'm coming home. Yes, so. Go tell mama say. say,
yes, so,
that's super cool.
yes, so,
They left me alone.
yes, so,
Kill a Jew.
yes, so,
I kick your knock'em.
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 yes, so.
Somebody will still play that game. You know what I mean? Oh, Bunty.
Waking up into you, waking up into you, Mama Africa, they lost you picking them.
Waking up into you, waking up into you, Mama Africa, they lost you picking them.
Waking up into you, waking up into you, Mama Africa, they lost in culture.
Waiting up into Rio, waiting up into Rio, Mama Africa, they lost in culture.
Waiting up into you, waiting up into you, Mama Africa, na die so.
Waiting up into Rio, waiting up into Rio, Mama Africa, na die so.
Have mercy, Salon, Nigeria, Guinea, Liberia, Kenya, Gambia, oh man, they lost in your mama. Do ya tell me? Malawi, Uganda, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ghana, Africa, oh yes, oh man, they lost you, mama. Oh, I cry for you.
Waiting there, people. Waiting there, people. Mama Africa, they lost in culture.
Then when we get power, not the whole wide world, G8 and G20, see don't they look where the world they take, keep them and make them all slaves. Them bright people want them for sell them your people. Oh Lord,
Waiting there, people. Waiting there, people. Mama Africa, that's all you begin there.
oh Lord. Tell them.
Dori, oh, Dori, Mama Pura, Jeke, by you, fine, Kuma, Guru Kuda, you mother, Guru Kuda, you father, come back, go at a local in and do.
I call mama say,
yes, so.
That soup way cool,
Yes, so.
they left me home.
Yes, so.
Keleju,
Yes, so.
Akecha naka,
Yes, so.
Akecha naka,
Yes, so.
Akecha naka,
Yes, so.
Akecha naka,
Yes, so.
I come in home.
Yes, so.
Go tell mama say,
Yes, so.
that soup way cool,
Yes, so.
they left me home.
Yes, so.
Keleju,
Yes, so.
Akecha naka,
Yes, so.
Akecha naka,
Yes, so.
Akecha naka,
Yes, so.
Akecha naka.
Yes, so.
Mama send me for Goa State, I meet from blood. I dumbe kai ka fufu boss. Mama send me for Goa State, I meet from blood. I dumbe kai ka fufu plenty boss. Hey. Then we take her.
Now we on.
Not forget her,
Because now we culture.
I'll now summarize the findings of the research into the hypothesis of Africa being the cradle of civilization. From episode 1, which gave an account of the research on the hypothesis, we can summarize the key points as follows. The human race did not evolve from Neanderthals, as was first thought, and Neanderthals are certainly not the ancestors of the black race. Humans emerged some 200,000 years ago and share a single gene from the same female known by researchers as Mitochondria Eve, our great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. Natural curiosity, the need to find food and stay safe from wild animals and hostile environment drove the early humans to move in groups and eventually spread further out into communities and developed their own cultures and languages. Evidence of early writing and arts were discovered in Africa. The Sahara was green and habitable 10,000 years ago. Then came deforestation. So you see that climate change did not start during our lifetime. The desert gave rise to the development of the early empires with religion and technology. Iron technology gave rise to the spread of civilization south of the Sahara in Africa. So, before we end, we need to consider the following points to reinforce our knowledge of our motherland. How did civilization spread southward in Africa? What were the earliest African civilizations? What gave rise to these civilizations? What African empires did iron technologies give rise to? Food for thought, eh? We'll continue next week. Until then, stay safe. And remember, please, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Take care.
Modern law, and business stronger. Father law,